Hello all, I'm professional Muse for Hire S.Stephon Brown, and thank you so much for joining me on this maiden voyage of the world's first and only 6-week Muse basic training program. Albert Einstein once said that everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. And that truth is the foundation of what Muse training is built upon. Musing starts with this implacable idea we hold as truth. Every single person is special, beautiful, and unique in their own way, and has something wonderful to offer to the world that no one else can. A Muse's job is to help people figure out what that wonder inside them might be, and how it can be released back into the wild. Our bodies didn't come with a manual or special instructions. All we had to develop ourselves with other people's input when we were figuring out how to operate these meat machines. So to fit in, most humans attempt to force themselves to do things they're not suited for, or act in ways that are not natural to them. We help clients dig through all that crap that is not needed to get to the core of who they really are. We give people a chance to succeed at being themselves. But at the end of the day, musing is just well-calculated opinion, so we can't guarantee anything except a good time. But if a Muse does our job correctly, our clients' perspective on their lives will absolutely change for the better. But to do this, a Muse must first understand themselves and their environment, and then map that understanding onto other truths to generate inspiration, solve problems, or seek happiness with practical applications. Muse training is about decoding all of our own programming and then using that to decipher other people. Because every single experience you have as a Muse has meaning. So to be a good Muse, you have to experience various aspects of life. And to do that, you need to give yourself permission to explore the things that fascinate you without feeling like you have to explain yourself to anyone else. This training will provide some basic concepts that you will personalize for your own use and understanding. Not only are you free to seek new influences and new experiences, but this training requires it. Because Muse training is about discovering you. This is all about you. Your instincts are more important than anything I say in this training. That's why I want to help you hone them. Okay, there are a few things you will require on this journey. You will need some kind of recording system that you can access very, very easily. It can be a tape recorder, an online document, a sketch pad, anything you have handy to record thoughts and ideas easily. And you will need it handy. When you're musing, anything can pop in your mind. Be ready. You don't have to fully participate in everything exactly, but I expect you to give everything I present an honest musing. This can be done wherever is comfortable for you. You can muse while resting, driving, cooking, or any time you feel like your mind is free to wander safely. In these lessons, it's not important that you perfectly understand the exact way I'm trying to convey an idea. The lesson doesn't matter nearly as much as what you get out of it. This program will help you create your own user's manual for yourself and your world. The test for all of these is real life, so you have to make all these lessons your own, or you won't have them when you need them. Trust me. See you again on day one. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, Musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 1. I am S.Stephon Brown, your wonderful Muse for Hire, who is so excited for you to be joining me on this adventure. Let's have some fun, shall we? Today we're going to start out with the very basic idea of getting yourself into the right mindset for musing. It's all mental, and all heart, and all body, and all everything. That's the problem with musing. It involves every part of you. And if you're not training every part of you to muse, you are missing out on pieces of information that the world is giving you. Our goal in musing is always to achieve 3 words. The 3 most important words in musing. Understanding without judgment. Those words are what drive the entire concept of musing. We have to understand ourselves, understand our world, understand what's going on without judging it first. Judgment eliminates options. That's all it does. Judgment comes out of a place of fear. It's a part of our defense mechanism to understand what's happening to us. We must see the world as it actually is without our personal bias getting in the way. And to do that, we must attempt a quiet, carefree mindset, or at least the best we can achieve. True musing is about getting yourself into a state where you're completely in the moment and nowhere else. You want to get to a state where you have no outside influences upon you, and you are just in the moment right now. This involves clearing your head and clearing your heart. Clear hearts are needed to muse. Your head can be all over the place, but musing with fear, anger, or hate in your heart is not a good idea. In my personal journey, my first improv instructor, Donna Torvik, had a phrase that she used to keep us there. And she would say, be here now. Be here now. Those 3 words are very good about grounding yourself into where you are. For myself, when I'm musing, I use a special technique I call still and ready. When I'm still and ready, my head is clear, my heart is open, and I am ready to receive any information the world is giving me. So your mission today is develop your own version of still and ready. How do you like to muse? What is your musing mentality? How can you achieve a clear heart and an open mind? Relax yourself, relax your mind, and relax your body. If your mind is very active and you have a hard time quieting it, here's your question for the day. What does your mind do when you try to do nothing? Please give yourself 15 minutes of dedicated musing time in any way you can. Don't be afraid to change any part of this that suits your needs to help you understand something better. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 2. Today we're going to build upon your musing mentality, and we're going to add another tool in that I actually use while I'm still and ready. And that tool is SLLS. This tool is about understanding your sensory systems and making sure they're in peak working order. When you experience something, you are recording the truths for yourself to reference later. You are recording it using your sensory systems and your understanding. We must trust our sensory systems or else they cannot help us. So if your recording devices are not accurate, the truths that you believe won't be accurate. And if you can't trust your senses to tell you what's going on, or you can't trust yourself to interpret the situation properly, then you have a problem. Not just as a muse, but in real life. The issue that a lot of people face is they're not recording information correctly. So for musing, you need to explore all your senses. All of them. Fully understanding anything requires all the senses that you have. SLLS. This is a survival tactic that I learned from a Special Forces recon officer. Stop, look, listen, smell. You know you wanna. This tactic is used by recon officers when they're in pursuit or evade situations. To do this, stop where you are. Look at your entire environment. Listen to what's around you. And smell. Many people in heightened situations forget about their sense of smell. They don't realize how much information you can actually get from it, and how helpful it can be in a lot of situations. Right now I can identify dozens of locations simply by their smell alone. Every piece of information you receive has value. You just need to learn how to use it. Your musing mission today is to stop, look, listen, and smell at least 3 different locations somewhere around you. Take a moment, take it all in. While you're doing that, I'd like you to think about the different looks, smells, and sounds of each location. And what does that information tell you about the differences of those places? That's your mission for today, so as always, please give yourself 15 minutes of dedicated musing time. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 3. Pew, 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 pew! Yeah! Today we'll be carrying our mindset forward by talking about positivity. Now, I know that's a loaded word. Positivity means a lot of different things to different people. There is toxic positivity, which is not good, but trust me, it's very, very important. The way you speak and carry emotion affects you and everything around you. If you're carrying around negativity or positivity, it comes out through you like it's seeping out of your skin. Language choice and delivery are some of the biggest indicators and conveyors of your emotional state. We'll talk about physical indicators when we talk about status tomorrow. And here's the big first lesson. We can choose to make our language positive more often than not. We've got the power! For my personal history, I competed in debate in high school, and no matter the type of debate, we needed to be prepared to argue both affirmative and negative sides of every case. That meant we needed to be able to process every piece of information or evidence through a negative or affirmative filter to suit our needs. And from that, I learned that positivity and negativity can actually be manipulated easily through its point of focus or its desired outcome. Bottom line is, anything can be made into a positive viewpoint, especially if your goal is understanding without judgment. Understanding is always a positive, and positivity is always a must for all musing experiences. It's invaluable for breaking down gentle emotional barriers and discovering things that are just below the surface. Positivity is a back door into the guarded rooms of our minds, and a muse always knows how to knock. In real life, a positive approach is just as important and effective. It can literally make your days happier, and it comes down to one simple shift in your mindset. Well, it's simple, but not easy at all. Here's a representation of our outlook. Positive to negative. Every time we start a new experience, we start our viewpoint somewhere on this positivity or negativity scale. We either start from a positive place or a negative place. A very negative place, a very positive place. Right here in the middle is true neutral. It's not positive, it's not negative, it's just there. This is where I want you to attempt to be during your musing mindset. Right in the middle here, viewing everything from a neutral place. But in real life, whenever you start a new experience, whatever side of this you start on, whether it's positive or negative, you tend to stay there. If things start positive, they tend to get more positive. If they start negative, they don't tend to go positive. Waking up on the wrong side of the bed? Negative. A negative mindset is a no mindset. It says no a lot. It stops you from doing things, which protects you from a lot of things. Many people start new experiences from a negative mindset. A positive mindset, that's a plus mindset. This comes from no. This comes from yes. All I want you to do to change your mindset is to be right here. So many of us start from here. I want you to start right here. Start on the positive side. Give yourself and the experience the benefit of the doubt. If it's 50-50, all I'm asking for is 51-49. So your musing mission from today is to start here. See what happens. For today's musing mission, I would like you to think about things you dislike. Not things you hate, things you dislike. And I'd like you to think about them in positive ways. I want you to find the positive things about things that aren't positive to you. Don't make it personal. Spend the time thinking about positivity and negativity in your own world. Do you approach positively? Do you approach negatively? Can you tell when you're being positive? Can you tell when you're being negative? If you work on your mindset, you can get to a place where positive little things can make a great impact in your life, and negative little things won't impact you at all. That's the goal. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, Musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 444 Thank you for sticking it out. You're doing great. Yesterday on day 3, we focused on having a positive mindset and seeing if we could think of things we disliked in a positive way. I thought about cilantro. I know other people like it, and I like them. So it's okay. Today we're talking about status. This is a concept I was first made aware of studying improv, via the teachings of Keith Johnstone, who was a legendary instructor of the craft. As a performer, we learn different status indicators, and we learn to exaggerate them to make interesting characters. High status characters will sit up tall, with their heads high. They take up space. They speak with a confident tone of voice and make eye contact with people. Now, low status people are different. Low status people speak in a quieter voice that may be broken or incomplete. They avoid eye contact and shrink a bit when they get uncomfortable. They try to take up as little space in the world as possible. I want you to notice that all of those traits are emotionally neutral. Status has nothing directly to do with being a good person or being positive. You can be a person who is good, bad, happy, or sad and be of any status. SVOs are everywhere. So the simplest form of what status looks like is how you carry yourself and present you to the world. That's the what of status. What? Now let's talk about the why. Remember, everything we do as humans has a reason. And the reason our status reveals itself this way comes down to one word: vulnerability. There's actually a direct correlation between your unconscious physical status and how vulnerable you feel. You feel vulnerable specifically about your physical vital areas. So the vital areas on a human being are typically your face and head, your chest and your stomach, where your organs are, and then your pulse points, which are where you have major arteries. So we're talking about your neck, your wrists, and your groin. And what do all these places have in common? Well, for one, they're all places that no one wants to be attacked. Yes? So let's review those physical traits of status once more with that info. If I am less confident about myself, aka low status, I subconsciously worry that someone might want to attack me. It doesn't matter what is causing my lack of confidence. That's not the point right now. It most likely has nothing to do with this situation. But I still feel uncomfortable, vulnerable. So I, without noticing it, begin to protect my vital areas from any kind of attack. I'll keep a hand near my face to protect my head. I'll lower my head and bring my shoulders up to protect my neck. I'll fold my arms to protect my abdomen, cross my legs to protect my groin. And I won't maintain eye contact and not make myself a target. I'll sit still and look pretty. Side note here, isn't it funny how some things people are taught to do as polite are just low status? And what about high status? High status people don't feel vulnerable. I'm not frightened of being attacked. I don't give a fuck if someone comes at me. Head up, opening the neck. Shoulders back, exposing the chest and belly. Legs open, taking up space and inviting a genital assault. Come and get it. But status isn't just your physical response. Physical status is the easiest to visualize, but status games can be verbal or situational as well. We treat things with status all around us. Everything you say to another person does one of 4 things: raises your status, lowers your status, raises their status, or lowers their status. Or more often, a combination of them. That's a great vehicle you have there. I could never afford something like that. But I've been working on myself using Muse Basic Training. And someday I'll afford something better than you could ever get. And status is not just about people. You can give status to anything. Locations, objects, pets. The way you act in a church is different than the way you act in a playground because you gave those locations different statuses in your mind. Let me give you a direct, practical tip about status. A great way to help people feel comfortable and be put at ease is by putting yourself just below their status. This is not easy, but this helps disarm some big personalities that will try to establish their status in any situation. Status games are a part of life. So bottom line, you should always be aware of who you're giving status to and who is giving or taking status away from you. For today's musing mission, I'd like you to muse on the status games of your world. What do you think your status is normally? What statuses are the people around you? Can you tell when someone's playing a status game with you? You smart and brilliant muse in training. Has anyone told you how attractive you are? Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Yeah! Thank you all for pushing through and attacking through all the setup lessons. Everything we do builds upon the lessons before it. And we're looking to carry our version of every concept up here in our noggin knapsack so we have them along the way. Because we're going to need every single one at some point. Yesterday we talked about status. High status and low status. This will be important today because we're talking about your musing persona, which is, in a way, the purest form of you. Your musing persona may be something that will take time to develop, but trust me, it is worth it. It helps us define who we want to be. Your musing persona is a cloak of invincibility. It is our greatest version of self that we imagine in the world we wish to have. It's your permission slip to be as weird and unique and special as possible. Because a muse's job is to push boundaries safely and report back what we find to people who are less brave than us. You will need to do things that other people just don't understand. And you need to understand that is okay. Some other people won't get it. But that's the point. A muse is more than a person or a job or a title. It's a force of nature. What we truly attempt to do is to tap into our core self, our true being, our inner child, our soul, or whatever you wish to call it, and let that person come out and speak at full voice. This is what we do for ourselves, and then we learn to do it for other people. A muse finds their inner strength and then uses that as an isolated power source. We believe that most humans need energy around them to feel alive. We get a lot of that energy from other people in many ways. Adoration, attention, compliments, respect, etc. But if you become dependent on this energy, just like anything else, the source of it can be used to control you. But no one can deny you something if you don't need anything from them. That was just a little side note, but let's carry on. The point of amusing is to dive into scary ideas to find out the truth of what is actually happening. And this can be frightening for all involved. So as a part of your musing toolkit, I recommend a positive, high-status musing persona that you can hide your fears away in while you explore. It can be as simple as a nickname and an open outlook. I chose the name S.Stephon Brown because no one reads encyclopedias anymore. My persona is me, but it's not me. And that's good because I can't be them all the time. A musing persona is needed to combat the catch-22 of requiring self-confidence to gain self-confidence. A muse tries to gain access to their authentic self without anyone else's outside bias, and then uses those authentic truths they find to explore the rest of the world. But to do that, you need incredible confidence in yourself. A confidence that comes from knowing that you can make errors and keep going. You will make mistakes, but we can never let outside shame affect our inner journey. It's just like modern-day warriors and performers who have a heightened version of themselves they use as a character while they are working. Professional wrestlers, drag queens, puppeteers, etc. And every athlete, once they put on the uniform, they commit their full focus and intensity to their situation and their mission. And when they make mistakes in those personas, they leave those mistakes in the locker room along with the soiled uniforms. As a muse, you need to be able to explore odd ideas and dangerous paths, but then be able to leave it on the field and walk away just like any other hobby. No one wants to be around a coach who can't stop coaching, or a character who never leaves their persona. That's not authentic life. So be aware of the mindset you're in. And here's your musing mission for today. Create a positive musing persona that allows you to explore freely. Be strange, make mistakes, forgive yourself, carry on, and then be able to remove it when needed. Think about your positive, powerful persona and who you would like to be to explore the world. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 6. Everybody's musing for the weekend. This first week of training, we went from musing states to personas and picked up some status and positivity along the way. Today, we continue down the path of situational awareness and start making the turn towards mental cartography as we discuss clocking and reading. Tick, tick, tick. Book. You need to clock to read to map, and map to MC. We'll be saving mapping till Monday, but first let's clock and rock with a definition. Situational awareness.
It's the skill of being actively conscious of what is occurring around you at any given time,
including what is happening behind you. This is required by fighter pilots and construction workers to keep them alive. They use their awareness to detect threats and hazards to their life, but muses use our situational awareness to detect threats and hazards to our happiness and success. which starts with clocking. Clocking is consciously registering a single piece of information that can lead to a truth. It's observing or recognizing something and making a mental note of it. My belief is the term comes from guards noting things that happen on their watch. Man urinating in mailbox 7:13 a.m. You may never be able to clock all of the details of an experience you are having, but you will almost always register the things that you find interesting. And that's where you should start, by focusing on what naturally draws your attention first. Always chase your interests in musing. You will never find Wonderland unless you dive down a few rabbit holes. The easiest things to clock are ones that naturally stand out. Something unique or out of place will almost always get clocked by most people, unconsciously or consciously. But that doesn't mean they're noticing a problem. Don't approach your situation you're clocking looking for what's wrong. You must look at what's actually there to try and understand what is happening. We often miss amazing things that are right in front of us for any number of reasons. Clocking reminds us to pay attention a little bit more in our very distracting world. Say, did you clock that anything's missing from today's lesson? That's right, Giraffe is out of the office. They're my cube mate, Covenant Flare, that usually sits right here. Do you remember them? Did you naturally clock anything about them? Do you remember what they were wearing? I'll give you a few seconds to think. There they are. And they have something new. Can you tell which it is? Now, just clocking something can be helpful, but it really doesn't help you until you do something with that information. That's why this next part is fundamental. Reading. Reading has a special definition for our purposes. It is interpreting what you have clocked and blending it with the truths that you already know to form educated conclusions of the current situation or person. The concept of reading is actually very simple, but the practice is very hard. It's a way to analyze and understand what's going on around you using the clocks you've made and the truths you believe. Most truths reveal themselves to anyone who's willing to pay attention, which is why most people perform unconscious reads all the time. It's built into our defense systems. If you clock a person covering their appearance and hiding in a shadow next to an alley, you should have a natural read that this is not the way you want to travel. Suspicion is naturally clocking and reading together. But other reads are not as instinctual. So reading reactions is one of the simplest ways to start. How people react gives great context and depth to how they view the world. And as muses, we may not be able to understand every situation, but we can understand reacting to every situation. Because we use our observation and our understanding of the world to read what might be happening. Remember, musing is highly informed opinion, not fact. And a bad read can give a false sense of understanding at any time. And if you act on a bad read, it can be catastrophic. I know. There is only one surefire way to know if a read is accurate, and that's to ask politely. I'm completely serious. When I'm musing or exploring, I'm constantly asking questions of my clients or subjects to improve my reads. We're not trying to solve a crime or we're not trying to trick anyone, we're just trying to help each other grow. So when in doubt, talk it out. Gently. So your musing mission for the weekend is to clock and read. Glockenspiel? No, clock and read. Clock things around you that draw your interest, and try to make reads of situations when they present themselves. Clock what groceries someone is buying in line at the store, and then read what you think their plans are. Clock the dirty dishes left on a table at a restaurant, and then read how the meal went. And if you can, clock what you clock, and then read that. What draws your attention, and why? Because there might be something amazing right there waiting for you. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Hey Musers, welcome to the first day off wrap-up of Muse Basic Training. Today is our day off, so there will not be a musing mission. But I wanted to take you all back through the week, remind you of all the lessons and ideas, give you some practical uses for each one, and maybe even add in some tips I forgot. Sound good? Great, because I got a note from a founder that I should do this. You know who you are. Thanks, buddy. So here's what we did so far. Week 1. Musing states. We kicked off this adventure on Monday by talking about our musing state. This is the mental state we want to be in while musing. It's about having a calm mindset in any location where we can be here now. This is a great way to center ourselves and have a good breathing, human break between tasks. Oh shit. On Tuesday we talked about situational awareness with the survival exercise of SLLS, which stands for Stop, Look, Listen, Smell. You know you wanna. This was how we started being more aware of our senses and the information we were receiving from them. We want to be able to trust our senses and know our limitations. Also, I want to add this in. Touch more stuff. Seriously. Invest in hand sanitizer and touch more objects and surfaces on our planet. Tactile sensation, which is touching things, is a huge part of humanity. Don't miss out on positive sensations. Wednesday, positivity. This is the idea that starting from even a small positive can make a big impact. Here's a quick personal musing story. A darling friend once dragged me to the Hollywood Bowl to see a band they personally loved that I had never heard of. Halfway through one of the most amazing performances I have ever seen, I realized that somewhere in my middle-aged life, I had started believing that if I haven't heard of something by this point, it couldn't possibly be good, or I wouldn't like it. That hidden false and fear-driven negative I was carrying almost made me miss an evening that I will never forget. That's how powerful a subtle, positive, or negative viewpoint can be.
Thursday was about status. We talked about how our physical status reflects our feelings of vulnerability.
Or our feelings of invulnerability.
Remember, we display status by how we protect our vital areas, or don't. And we can play status games that are verbal and situational and with locations and objects. One observation I'd like to add is about the natural status of tall people. The reason we naturally bestow status on people taller than us is because we look up at them when we talk to them, which means we expose our neck and chest just to acknowledge them. This is why children give natural authority to large creatures, and why most of the planet loves Shaquille O'Neal.
Google me, Chuck. Google me.
And just like Shaq, Diesel, the Big Aristotle, or Shakovic the Iceman, we all need a persona to help us achieve success. That's the badass rap job that we encase our mental machines in to let us go into the danger zone. Our musing persona is our permission slip to ourselves to be as awesomely us as we can be. We can make mistakes, put out the fires, and then walk away. It's okay if you haven't found your musing persona yet. It took me 44 years. Saturday kicked in the door, clocking and reading. Kick! Alright, everything's cool, everybody. Do not worry, I am registering unique items by clocking them and then combining them with my understanding of the situation and context clues to get a read on what I believe is actually happening. Now, what I need to know is, does anyone have any threes? Clocking and reading are the basic structures of mapping, and they can be tricky. But it just starts with noticing something and then allowing your mind to be reminded. So if you got this whole week down, you should be able to clock and read other people's statuses while in your musing persona using SLLS and positivity in your musing state. Or at least have an interesting time. If you were having any issues understanding anything, it's my fault for not explaining them correctly. Don't be afraid to change any of this to suit your needs. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Greetings, Musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 8. You are starting the second week of training, and I couldn't be prouder. Over the weekend, we were working on situational awareness by clocking and reading as we went merrily along. Reading to good people lately? And today, we're going to shift a bit away from awareness and start playing with the things we've noticed, using the starting point of mental cartography, mapping. The term cartography actually refers to the craft of map making. Traditionally, a cartographer or map maker studies the landscape of an environment and then translates their observations into a precise format that other people can use as a guide for their own adventures. That is the same basic concept we're attempting with mental cartography. But instead of creating maps of locations, we create maps of ideas and concepts that people can use to explore their own behaviors and environments. This creates the opportunity for innovation, inspiration, and understanding using just the information you already possess. I first learned the idea of this kind of mapping from improvisation and comedy. Comedy mapping has been in use since the dawn of the pratfall. The idea is that you take the patterns, attitudes, and feels of one situation, then use them to perform a different situation for comedic effect. A standard example is mechanics working on a car but acting like they're surgeons. Our diagnostics are down. We're losing battery life. No, not today! Or doctors working on a patient as if they were a vehicle.
So I'm going to need you to back out slowly and then drain your fluids. Drain your fluids.
Treating something like something it's not is a wonderful absurdist mirror for comedy. But mapping can be reverse engineered for understanding and exploration, and not just humor. It's all about identifying the different elements that connect ideas. To perform any version of mapping well, you need to understand all the elements of the ideas you are working with. The better you know the material, the more detailed you can make the map. Hot tip: empathy is emotional mapping. You use empathy by mapping your emotional situation onto someone else's. That's how you understand them. But not all things naturally connect. Mapping works best when the ideas have points of similarity. In our example of mechanics and doctors, both of them had patients that they were working on with unique tools and equipment around them in dedicated spaces. Those similarities alone provide enough connections in the audience's mind for them to follow what's happening. And it's those points of connection that are the real magic. And what we use as a point of focus for mental cartography. We are going to use maps of things we understand well and then lay them over things we don't. Picture one of these Muse maps as a clear sheet overlay that you can mentally put over situations to try to see if they share any patterns. But you can't always see the whole pattern at first. You need a touchstone or a starting point that lines up well to connect the maps. And this starts with a simple internal thought, which is, hey, that reminds me of anything. When you are reminded of things, that is your brain trying to do mental cartography on its own. It's trying to connect this situation to things it already knows to make them familiar and understandable. But we can help it. So let's say I meet a new person.
You look beautiful. Stop it. Why are you even saying that?
I clock that they're in good physical shape, they're wearing active wear, and they use terms that I've heard from physical trainers. This reminds me of some fit friends I have.
Sup?
We can use what we know to map onto their energy. And knowing that map helps me get a read on this person that they have an interest in fitness and an active lifestyle.
Yeah?
Then I begin mapping traits from other fitness junkies that I know onto them to see if any reads line up. I then begin thinking of crossover topics that my fitness friends and I enjoy together as conversation starters with this new person. Just noticing that first connection allowed me to map a way to a possible new positive relationship. And that first connection is all you need to start. Your musing mission is to do some mapping on your own with the team game. The team game is a simple mapping exercise that involves swapping members of a group into a different group to see who lines up best with each other. Let's start with the groups of 4. Here are some examples of 4-unit teams I know. The A-Team, the Golden Girls, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Ladies of Sex and the City, the Fantastic Four, the Ghostbusters, the Wizard of Oz crew, and the Horse People of the Apocalypse. So pick any 2 groups of 4 people you know, or any of those, and map their situations onto each other. Who would do better? Sex and the Wizard, or the Golden Turtles? Can B.A. Baracus even ride a horse? Are they perfect maps? Absolutely not, but that's the fun. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, Musers, and welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 9. 9, fine, and on the line. Yesterday, we waded closer to the deep end of mental cartography by talking about mapping. Mapping, as you remember, is how we can lay one situation over another to try and understand them both better. And to start mapping, you're always looking for those points of similarity between different things. It's the connections that they share that you can line up together, which then highlight the elements that don't line up. With clear set parameters like that, you can literally swap in any group that fits and it will be an interesting thought experiment. Or thoughtcraft, as I like to say. But to create thoughtcrafts this streamlined, you really need to work with ideas or materials that have basic similarities. It's the type of standardization of parts that happened during the Industrial Revolution and the dawn of the auto industry. People suddenly realized if they made things in a uniform way, the individual elements could be arranged in multiple combinations for new uses. This is why you can build an aircraft carrier in an IKEA if you have enough time and Allen wrenches. Muses use the same standardization process, but instead of interchangeable machine parts, we want working ideas and concepts that have more than one use. Because, and this is very important, if something works somewhere, it always has the potential to work somewhere else. Every functioning system has patterns. That is the only way to replicate success with any consistency. Within these patterns are simple reasons why they work. These reasons are what we call in the musing business truths. It's true. Mental cartography starts with the recognition, understanding, and appreciation of truths in ourselves, our environment, and those around us. Once truths are fully understood, aka mapped, they can be used with other truths to form completely new ideas and concepts. Truths are the reasons behind why things are actually happening or not happening. There can be multiple reasons and multiple truths based upon the same observable circumstances, and they can all still be true. And the more truths, details, and specifics we understand about something, the more reminder prongs pop up in our heads to snag other ideas. Truths in many fields reveal themselves as rules, laws, concepts, and principles. The laws of physics are truths, as is the language of flowers. Musical instruments are shaped the way they are because of the truths of creating sound. And humans can't digest acorns because the truth is we never learned how to domesticate them. Not all truths are factual. They can be conceptual as well. It is a truth that my favorite beer is whiskey, and my favorite whiskey is free. It is also a truth that overindulgence can lead to underperformance. So knowing when to fold them is a good truth to learn early. Oh, and beware! Just because you know a truth does not mean you know the whole truth. Truths, especially personal ones, are based upon perspectives and possibilities, which can easily shift over time. You cannot expect to understand any truths without work, and you should expect all truths to change with time. So your musing mission for today is to think about the truths that affect your daily life. What are the big things like gravity, or the small things like your ice cream preference? Gravity, 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 gravity. Are there truths that you live by? What are the truths you know about yourself, or your loved ones? Explore what's true to you through and through. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, Musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 10.
Damn double digits. Now all my file names will get longer.
Yesterday, we were introduced to the wonderful world of truths. Did you uncover any truths in your world? And if you haven't yet, we'll take care of that today when we talk about obsessions. Who was that guy? The term obsessions, as we use it, is a catch-all for the categories of things in life that we find most fascinating. These are things we not only personally enjoy participating in, but also things we enjoy thinking about when our mind wanders. Our obsessions are things we are drawn to naturally. Some part of our humanity connected to them, and we might have even connected part of our identity to it in return. As we learn who we should be, we look to examples that speak to us, and may have even attempted to map aspects of them onto ourselves without even knowing that's what it was. Fads, fashion, and popular trends are all people trying to map coolness onto themselves by finding the newest collective obsession first. Our obsessions shape the way we view the world because they were our introductions to it. When we were young, educators used our obsessions to teach us. They created educational material with playful imagery, pleasant songs, and simple stories to secretly feed us basic life skills through entertainment. And it worked. We learned how to live our lives, but we also learned how to learn from stories and entertainment. We were taught to compare and contrast ourselves to the people on the screens and act like the good ones, but not like the bad ones. And that model is very effective with proper context and guidance. The problem is, as adults, we still use some of the same systems of understanding. We still learn from our obsessions and our entertainment, we just don't realize it.
That's why identifying our villains, heroes, and SVOs are so important, but we'll cover that in week 3.
The big lesson today is what we obsess over has incredible influence on who we are.
Let's take a look at me. These are my obsessions by SSB, me. All of my beautiful, beautiful obsessions. I love them all very much.
Improv I've been doing since 1993. I've been obsessed with my entire life. Nature. Golden mean, camouflage, so many different things we know come from nature. History, myths, and legends. History, awesome stories about weird people. Games, sports, and activities. I make it a point to know the rules of games and sports from around the world. Entertainment. Movies, TV, books, shows, everything. I love it. Sex/relationships. Sex and relationships, always one of my favorite things to talk about in the middle of the night. Cooking and dining. I like making good food, having good food, and talking about good food. All of these topics have truths I know very well.
But
when musing with a client, it can be difficult to get a full, accurate list of their true obsessions. But you should be able to ascertain many clues from anyone's life from their entertainment palette. Consider this their short list of obsessions that they'd be willing to talk about. Sports, movies, videos, concerts, karaoke, etc. What's on someone's entertainment palette can tell you a huge amount about that person. Baseball is a very different obsession than Mahjong. Just like 50 Shades of Grey is a very different book from How to Train Your Dragon. Or is it? Knowing someone's obsessions and treating them with respect and positivity can get you past their guard and on their side. So if I had a client who was a fan of the Lord of the Rings series, I might ask them if they felt like they were a gray wizard or a white wizard, and what was the Balrog they had to defeat. That is the type of obsession-based question that pries open hearts and minds to reveal truths. I guarantee you the coolest person in the world still geeks out about something. And we are what we geek. Your musing mission today is to think about what your personal obsessions are, and root around in them to see if you can find any truths. Pay specific attention to your personal entertainment palette. What entertainment do you enjoy that you could talk to a complete stranger about positively? What entertainment do other people love that you find strange? Go ahead, try it. You might just like it. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 11. Give me that yo, baby. I actually hit it. It's 11. Yesterday we started talking about our obsessions. Seriously, who is that? We looked into our personal obsessions, hopefully with positivity and a good musing state. We have now started recognizing the truths that interest us all around. Like, you only get a certain number of chances to bat in any game. Meat needs to rest after it cooks to stay juicy. Or standard Klingon birds of prey have to decloak before they can fire. But now, what do we do with them? We're surrounded by this ever-expanding pile of Gemino-cursed truths that have been touched in a Harry Potter story. We could organize these truths into something familiar to us, just as Jim Carrey's character did with prayers and Bruce Almighty. Ooh, or maybe we should place the truths in a special formation depending upon what we need them to do, like a 4-4-2 in international football. You know what? I know what we're going to do today. Let's make some analogies. Wait, how do you say it? Analogies. Analogies are where you compare two things for the purposes of understanding or clarification. I may have left some examples a few lines back. Now, when I'm talking about analogies for musing, I'm including similes and metaphors as well. Each is about representing or exploring a truth using our understanding of references that parallel or encapsulate what we're attempting to express. And currently, there is no greater source of analogies and metaphors in modern life than memes. Memes combine two separate pieces of pop culture and juxtapose them to represent or expose human truths. I consider it a language of references and inside humor that I call meme speak. Memes are typically images from a well-known popular source combined with one or two lines of text for comedy or social commentary or both. I use analogies constantly as a muse. I find it to be the single easiest way to explain more complex issues to anyone. And this is why someone's entertainment palette is so important for you to know. Most people are unbelievably unaware of the deep connections they have to their entertainment palette. Remember this, people choose their entertainment based upon the feels they want to have. So all the feels that matter to a person are hidden in plain sight right in their Netflix queue. And your mission for the day is to muse on memes and analogies. Have you ever used a reference or a truth from an obsession of yours to explain something to someone? Think about your favorite memes and why you like them. Try it. You might like it. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 12. Yesterday we learned how to use shiny truths from our obsessions to craft sweet little analogies. This one says, sir. And we learned about combining pop culture references for meme speak. That unique language of only if you know, you know. Shaka? When the walls fell? This is weird. A muser's success and enjoyment depends heavily upon their individual toolkit. This is not in any way a traditional set of physical items, but instead it's a series of thought crafts, ideas, and mental exercises that we engage in to hunt truths in their natural habitats. Including in our own minds. What was that? Huh? Musing tools are usually built out of the obsessions of subjects that we are most familiar with, but can be picked up anywhere and used by anyone. Humanity is very special, but it is not very original. That's why so many ideas are similar, and why sometimes the simplest tools work the best. In musing, the number one tool I use is mirrors! Sometimes holding a mirror up to something is the only way to get a clear picture of it. The question, what if this situation was reversed, is one of the most basic forms of this. It's a straightforward booby trap that hypocrites walk right into. Mirrors are tools to create new viewpoints and adjust old perspectives. They can collect your focus into direct comparisons, which are easier for most people to process. So muses use mirrors to slip empathy in through the back door. When I'm in a standstill on the 405, I remind myself I would much rather be in the traffic caused by the accident than be in the accident that's causing the traffic. That is a situational mirror that instantly provides perspective. Mirrors don't actually have to be direct, or even comparisons. You can use filters on them like absurdism, or combine them with other tools like the lens of time or you versus you. These are great ways to juxtapose different ideas from unique approaches. You juxtaposers! You can reflect all aspects of something or just small parts, but the point is always to make truths appear in the mirror's frame. The focus of a mirror is not so much new ideas, but deeper understanding of a single truth or two. A mirror doesn't just show one side. It can show an indefinite depth in one direction if you know how to present the questions. But remember, a muse tries to be kind first, correct second, but both by the end of the night. Your musing mission today is to muse about mirrors. What situations have you seen reflected in your own life? Have you seen any truths in the world reflected back at you? How can you use your obsessions to reflect things back to other people? Bon courage out there. Cheers. Greetings, musers. Welcome to Muse Basic Training Day 13. I'd like to start this lesson with some powerful words. Pussy, cunt, cock, asshole, dick, and titties. Doesn't that feel powerful? Those are the dirty words in the current vocab of my society that you are not supposed to use in proper company. Also, they all seem to be words that have to do with fucking. And that was the big one that was left off the list. Fucking means sex, in case you're not familiar. And sex is one of the greatest driving forces in human existence. Period. Sex is an insane act. It's silly and amazing and gross and awesome. And sex legitimately scares many people. This is how you can tell if a society is scared of something. They will find a way to judge it no matter what. Too big. Too small. Too smelly. No smell. No experience. Too much experience. Odd shape. Strange sounds. Strange silence. So much hair. It's creepy when it's bald. Too soft. Too hard! Just right. Really? No. Maybe pull my hair. For myself, I'm a proud member of the kink community, and I find great fulfillment helping other people get past societal judgments to make their own discoveries about themselves. People may not display their exact intimate desires consciously, but they will often put their desired sexual opinion on display, and that's something muses can read. Desired sexual opinion, or DSO. Someone's DSO is how they wish to be viewed in a romantic or sexual fashion by other people. Would they like to be considered attractive? Desired? Left alone? Respected? Not thought of sexually? Whatever it may be, someone's DSO is a truth to them as a human. And if they are not displaying their authentic desires accurately, the people who they wish to receive the signals have no chance of understanding them. Finding someone's DSO starts with a brutally truthful assessment. 1. What turns them on, including what type of people, acts, sensations, scenarios, random things, whatever. Question 2 is how intense do they like their experiences? If it varies, that's fine, but get them to state their acceptable range.
It could go from soft snuggles.
2. Daddy's home. And finally, how often do they like having it? People don't factor in sexual appetite enough. And that is a detail that matters. But as you notice, people's sexuality or gender expression really is not a huge factor in this equation. To help a person with musing, we care less about who you love as much as how you love. And to lighten up this sexy weekend lesson, I want to teach you one of my favorite improv games on the planet. Sex is Like. This is a short-form improv game that I played for just shy of a decade with Mission Improbable, the headlining show at MI's West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica, California. Tell them Agent Joker sent you. I retired from that show, but kept playing Sex is Like because it's perfect for my brain. It's taking an audience suggestion and then mapping it with sex. The game involves getting a suggestion from the audience, banana, and then making a pun-based joke that describes what sex with you would be like, mapping that suggestion into the experience with wordplay. Sex with me is like a banana. Many people find it appealing. Sex with me is like a banana. I come in bunches. Sex with me is like the DMV. Afterward, you're going to have a really awkward picture of yourself. Sex with me is like the DMV. If you want to handle the big stuff, you're going to need a special permit. Sex with me is like the Titanic. When I go down, everybody gets wet. The last reason I wanted to teach you this game is because humor fights fear like water fights fire. Using jokes to help people talk about sex is a perfect natural pairing because of their points of similarity. Orgasms and laughter have one wonderful shared truth. The bigger the tension, the greater the release. Your mission for this weekend is to muse about your own desired sexual opinion, and maybe play some Sex is Like. Think about sex, what it means to you and the people around you. So think about what you like, how you like it, and how often you want it. Don't judge yourself. Understanding without judgment, truth without fear. Give yourself a chance. Sex with me is like Titanic. James Cameron won't stop talking about it. Bon courage out there. Cheers. Hey Musers, welcome to the day off wrap-up of Muse Basic Training Week 2. We put the F in Fortnite. Alright, here's what we did. Week 2. This first step of mental cartography is a tricky idea, but the simple version of mapping involves using ideas you know well to try and understand ideas you don't. You begin mapping or mental cartography by exploring the ideas you find familiar first and then see what other truths make themselves known to you. Tuesday. Truths. Did someone say Truth Tuesday? Truth Tuesday. Truths are the reasons why things work and the concepts that make life happen. Muses are always looking for truths, so we can play with them. There's a famous Latin phrase that goes,
In vino veritas. In wine there is truth.
which means if you get people inebriated, they will naturally give you their honest opinion of what they believe. Figured you couldn't jump the shark any higher than that. Did someone just say shark? Lots of people obsessed with sharks. That would have come up on Wednesday when we talked about obsessions. Remember, our obsessions include our entertainment palette, which is our go-to things that we want to experience when we want to feel. Being aware of what type of feels your body is craving can tell you a lot about what feels your life might be missing. Thursday, analogizing. Hashtag meme speak. Thursday we started learning a whole new language called meme speak, which is really just combining different pop culture references together to highlight human truths. We also worked on making our own analogies, which are utilizing truths you know from someone's entertainment palette to explain or clarify a situation or emotional state. And remember, we find those truths in our obsessions. Damn it! Lock the door! Friday, mirrors. Mirrors for us are thought crafts we use to help others understand their situation by reflecting their truths back to them from other perspectives. And there I am. Looking into who we truly are is always a good idea now and again. And you know what? Even this guy deserves to feel desired if he knows how to show it. Saturday was DSOs and Sex is Like. Miss DSO if you're nasty. Sex with me is like Muse Basic Training. It's a big undertaking, but will forever change your view of what is possible. So if this week makes sense to you, you may find yourself mapping truths from your obsessions using mirrors and analogies to meme speak Sex is Like suggestions with your friends about their DSOs. If you're having any issues not understanding anything, please know it's my fault for not explaining it correctly. Don't be afraid to change any part of this to suit your needs. Have a great weekend. Cheers.